join. Okay, great. So settling in on your backs. Let's see. Coming to rest. Releasing into the support beneath you. Becoming aware of your body resting on the earth. Becoming aware of the breath. Becoming aware of the rhythm of the breath and how it echoes in your body. The body responding to the breath. The breath restoring the body. The breath that we take for granted. I'm personally dedicating this class to a good friend whose husband is in the hospital with respiratory distress. Simple breath. Life's not possible without it. And because it happens all on its own, we forget that it's right there to guide us into a peaceful, easy space. Noticing where the breath fills, where it settles on the inhale. Using the exhales to soften and let go. And as your water starts to still and the sand starts to settle, just a reminder that yoga is a way into feeling, not out of. So even though we want to settle our thoughts and allow them to float away, it's kind of not the same for the feelings. That's the next level. To go a little deeper and tap into the feelings, to the heart space, and honor that. And meet yourself wherever you are. We start with the physical practice. And then when we're ready, we move into the mental emotional practice. Meeting yourself wherever you are. And with your next inhale, allow the arms to extend up overhead, soften there in a comfortable way. Arms settling in their sockets, maybe the elbows bend, this first maybe guided stretch, intentional stretch. Maybe flexing the feet, noticing any sensation in the body, using the exhales to soften, pointing the toes. Maybe inhaling, filling the heart space, and exhaling, gathering the belly, allowing the hands to float to either side of the hips. Inhaling the right arm alongside your ear. Soften there, breathe into the right side body. Walking both legs a little to the left, keeping the hips and the shoulders resting on the floor. Simple breath, guiding you into your practice. With your next inhale, walking the legs back to center, floating that arm down. And then inhaling the left arm alongside your ear, softening there. Walking both legs over to the right. Letting go of all efforting as you breathe into the left side body. Curious about the sensations in your body and honoring them throughout the practice, walking both legs back to center and floating that arm alongside the hips. Inhaling, opening the arms out into T, softening there. Notice what you notice in this open heart space. Let go of all efforting in the back body. With your exhale, the right arm comes under the left, wherever your fingertips land, honoring your body as you cross the arms and give yourself a gentle hug. Soften the tops of the shoulders and the neck. And as the shoulder blades open away from each other, notice the inhale maybe moves into the back body, onto the back body, that space between the shoulder blades. And the ribs expand and open. And the breath moves maybe just a little deeper as you soften with that exhale. With your inhale, allow the arms to extend out, open into T again. And with your exhale, we reverse, left arm under right. And this feels a little different. Move it around till it's comfortable for you. Wherever your fingertips are, on the upper arms, shoulders, back body. Your practice, your body. Finding the breath, filling the back of the heart. Allowing the body to expand to accept that breath. And with your next inhale, the arms extend, open one more time. Pause there, soften through the shoulders. Allow the breath to fill the front and back of the heart space. Exhaling, floating those fingertips to either side of the hips. Bending the knees, stepping one foot and then the other softly onto the earth. Pause there. With your exhale, the belly gathers and the lower back opens to the floor. With your inhale, hip points rock towards the knees. Pelvic tilts, allowing your breath to guide you and the sensation in your body to find your limits, to meet your body wherever you are today. Rocking on the sacrum, exploring the lower back. Inhaling, hip points towards thighs. Exhaling, belly button hugs in the direction of the earth without maybe totally flattening that lower back, just exploring your natural range of motion. Maybe 3 more rounds of breath like this. Nice. And then softening into a neutral spine, so your natural curve in the lower back, whatever that is. With your exhale, keep the sacrum rooted to the earth. Equal weight in both hips, and then one knee and then the other comes up off the floor, over the hips. Maybe the hands come in back of the knees. And before you draw them any closer, soften through the shoulders. Soften the heels towards the thighs. Just let go of the upper legs. Exhale, hug the belly in. Maybe you have space to hug the thighs a little closer. Notice what you feel in the back body. There's no jerky or quick movements in yoga. Always slow, mindful with the breath. Maybe the thighs need to open a little wider to allow for your belly or any other soft tissue that might get in the way. Thighs, hips. Nice. With your next inhale, allow the knees to come back over the hips. Exhale, find that foundation. Again, soften through the shoulders. Inhale, both knees float away from each other. Exhale, they flow in, together and away, making circles, knees moving in opposite directions if that suits you. You can always move them together if that feels better. As long as you're moving slowly with intention, allowing the breath to guide you, and then reversing those circles. Nice. And then finding stillness there and floating both feet to the earth again. Walking the heels maybe a little closer. It's only a suggestion. Are your ankles under the knees? Maybe you already are set up to keep yourself safe. Joints stacked. Tucking one shoulder blade and then the other underneath the heart and sliding them down towards the waist, away from the ears. Maybe you notice the space below the collarbone opens and you're rooting into the upper arms. If you want to feel that sensation a little clearer, maybe you bend the arms at the elbows and let the fingertips point to the ceiling, palms facing each other. Yeah. And then we can root into those upper arms again and shoulders. And you can feel that slight opening in the upper body, maybe even a gentle lift of the back as it opens the front, supports the front body. Just noticing the sensation and backing out of anything that compromises the breath. The feet are rooted to the earth, they're the length of a dollar bill, so hips distance between them, maybe even wider. What feels good for you? With your inhale, as we root into the upper arms, the shoulders, and the feet, we lift the hips just a little, any amount. Exhale with control, lowering back down, coming to rest on the sacrum. Exploring your back body in your bridge pose and then rolling out of it. Noticing the back. And maybe you're able to roll up onto the shoulders with a soft jaw and back of the neck, and then roll back down, landing on the hips. Maybe your lower back can open and come towards the earth. Maybe you're skipping it, going from the last ribs right to the hips or sacrum. It's for you to explore. Maybe 2 more rounds like this, exploring the opening in the back body, the lengthening of the front body as the breath guides you. After that second round, the hips come to rest onto the earth. If you've lifted the lower arms, they float to rest on either side of the hips. The feet walk the width of the mat, and maybe the knees come together. Feet walk the width of the mat, did I say that? Knees fall together. And we breathe or find the breath moving into the back body. As we allow the lungs to fill completely. The breath massaging the body. What do you notice in the stillness of the poses? We try to become aware of how we are in the stillness. What thoughts come to mind? What sensations in the body, and how do we respond to them? What can we learn? Okay, inhaling, the knees come up over the ankles. We walk the feet back to hips distance and roll over onto one side or the other. Pausing there just for a couple of rounds of breath. Exhaling, gathering the belly, pressing the palms against the earth, but also drawing yourself up with the core body to come up to sit or come up onto your knees or sitting on a prop. And the only reason why you're doing this or standing on the knees is so that you can just watch a flow, so that you have a kind of picture in your mind, so that you can come to the earth and not have to see me and maybe just connect my words to your body. Just roll through the shoulders a few times. Let go. Explore the shoulders and tension in the neck. And forward a couple of times. Inhale the shoulders to the ears. Exhale, let it flop. Sigh the breath out if that feels good. Inhale up, exhale down. Nice. Well, this is something like what it looks like. So instead of standing and doing our sun salutations, we'll take a variation on the floor so that we don't have to think about that rooting and extension, the rooting through the feet and extending up through the spine. The back body will be supported in its natural curves if we allow it. Extending the legs, right? We start in our, I'm not going to talk about the breath. I'm just going to let you see sun salutations, moving into lunge and downward facing dog after our forward fold. So we start in our mountain pose. Inhaling here. Oh, I said I was going to talk about the breath. And then folding forward. Lengthening and stepping back. And exploring our lunge. And bringing it forward. And into maybe downward facing dog. And then walking hands and knees together to come into forward fold. And then stepping back to the other side. Lunging in the other side. Coming back into downward facing dog. Stepping forward. Inhaling all the way up into mountain pose and floating it to the heart center. So, come to lie down on your backs. So the back body rests. Breathing into the natural curves. Maybe keeping the head resting on the floor, tucking the chin a little towards the notch on the collarbone. Become aware of any tension in the back of the neck. Let it go. We don't have to worry about alignment because the back is going to be resting on the earth, right? But we're tapping into the sensations we feel as we use the breath to guide us. Finding our natural range of motion, honoring the shoulders and the hips and the backs of the thighs, not forcing anything. Just exploring, being curious of how do our sun salutations differ when we're lying on the floor. With your next inhale, the arms float overhead to find your mountain pose. With your exhale, the knees come in, hands in back of the thighs, as if you were maybe folding forward at the hip creases. With your inhale, the knees come wide to either side of the ribs, floating the feet up into happy baby. Your expression of happy baby. Nice. Inhale, the right leg up to the sky, the right arm overhead. Nice. As if you were in a lunge. Soften there. With your next exhale, lower the right leg all the way to the floor if it's not there already. Nice. As if you were in a high lunge. Pausing in the stillness, soften, exhale, hug that right knee back in, arm floats together. Inhale, the legs float up to the sky, arms overhead. Don't worry if you're not moving with me, with my cues. Catch up, pause, exhale, hands to hips or either side of the hips, bend the knees, feet to the floor. Pause there. Notice what you notice. Soften, settle. Notice if one side of the body feels any different than the other, any different sensations. Always invite you to move it around if something doesn't feel right as you rest on the earth. With your inhale, press into the feet, root to the shoulders, allow the hips to lift into bridge. So feet are hips distance, knees hug together. Nice. With your next exhale, lower the hips down. Let the arms float overhead. And inhale the legs up to the sky. You're in downward facing dog. Soften the backs of the knees. Nice. Exhale, knees in, hands to thighs. Inhale, open into happy baby. Nice. Left side. The right knee stays in, the left leg floats up to the ceiling. The left arm extends up overhead. Remember, even though I'm not cueing the breath, try to move with the breath, soften there. With your next exhale, maybe that left leg lowers all the way to the earth. Slowly with intention, nice. Pausing here in your lunge. Breathing into the left side body. Exhale, belly gathers, that knee draws in. Inhale, legs extend up to the ceiling, both arms float overhead, downward facing dog. Soften there. Find an easeful way to be in downward facing dog or legs up the wall. Exhale, hands float to either side of the hips, knees bend, feet float to the earth. Finding your foundation so that you can, with your next inhale, you can roll up to your expression of bridge as the hips lift and the heart space opens, maybe pausing here for a couple of rounds of breath. Or with your next exhale, allowing the hips to float back down to the earth. Inhale, the arms up overhead, the legs up to the sky, downward facing dog again. Exhale, knees in, hands to thighs. Pausing to inhale into happy baby. Couple of rounds of breath here. Exhale, feet to floor. Inhale, arms overhead, extending the legs straight out onto the earth. Mountain pose. With your next exhale, allow the palms to float together at the heart center. And pause here in the stillness. Allowing the fingertips to rest maybe on the upper chest, the shoulders to settle, breathing into that space below the collarbone. Breathing into the space in back of the heart, allowing the ribs to expand to accept the breath. Inviting the breath in. Inviting the breath out. With your next inhale, allow the breath to guide the arms up overhead into your mountain pose again. Exhale, knees in, arms or hands in back of the thighs. Inhale, knees open to either side of the ribs. Exhale, left knee stays in, right leg extends up to the ceiling. Inhale, right arm up overhead. Exhale, right leg floats with control down to the earth. Extending from the heel to the fingertips, breathing into your lunge. With your next exhale, that right knee comes in, that hand floats to the thigh, and then we inhale, arms up overhead, legs to ceiling. Exhaling, hands float to either side of the hips, feet, knees bend, feet to floor. Find the breath, find the foundation, and when you are ready, inhale, roll up into your expression of bridge, or stay resting on the earth, always options. When you are ready, exhaling, hips down, and inhaling, arms overhead. I say overhead, it could be out to the side, it could be cactus. How do your shoulders feel? Is there pinching or tension? With your next inhale, allow the legs to float up towards the sky. Exhale, hug the knees in. Inhale, opening into happy baby, feet lift towards the ceiling. If that feels good for you, soften there. With your exhale, the right knee stays in. We extend the left leg up to the ceiling. And inhale, that left arm overhead. I only make suggestions. Move when you're ready with your breath. Exhale, belly gathers to support you so that you can slowly, with control, lower that left leg to the earth. Breathing into the left side body. With your next exhale, hugging that left knee in. Inhaling, extending both legs up, floating both arms overhead. Noticing how you're being in the pose, softening with the exhales. With your next exhale, the hands, arms float to either side of the body, the knees bend, the feet float to the earth. So that you can inhale when you're ready, rolling up into your bridge. Pausing, perhaps. When you're ready, exhaling, allowing the hips to float back down. The arms float overhead on your inhale. The legs extend to the ceiling, slowing down as if you were moving in honey, so that you can meet your body wherever it is, noticing all the sensations and honoring your body. Exhale, knees in, hands to thighs. Inhale, float the feet to the floor, slide the legs out in front of you. Arms extend up overhead, finding your mountain pose, pausing here. As if you were standing in mountain. How does that change the pose? Can you make it active without efforting? Aware of the breath, and with your exhale, floating the palms together to rest at the heart center. Checking in as you rest in stillness. last time, or choosing to rest in a comfortable position and seeing the practice, the flow in your mind's eye, your choice. With your inhale, the arms float up overhead, finding that mountain pose again. With your exhale, the knees draw in, the arms come to the back, or the hands come to backs of thighs. Inhale, the knees wide, soles of the feet to the ceiling. Pausing in your happy baby, your expression of happy baby, noticing any efforting in the back body and the hips and the thighs, and honoring that. How are the shoulders and the jaw? And most importantly, how's the breath? With your inhale, the right leg floats up, the right arm extends up overhead. As you pause here, and then exhale, gather the belly to safely lower that right leg to the earth. Pausing in this expression of lunge, lying on the back. With your exhale, hugging that knee in, and then inhaling, both arms float overhead and both legs extend to the ceiling. And soften there, legs settling in the hip sockets. Maybe the legs come a little wider. Maybe the arms soften and the elbows bend, because we don't have to support ourselves in our downward dog. But we can become aware of the extension from the crown of the head to the tip of the tailbone, and the lengthening of the hamstrings and the calves and the soles of the feet. With your exhale, the knees float in, the hands come to either side, and the feet float to the earth. Pause here. Inhaling, extending the legs overhead and the arms float overhead, coming into, legs straight out onto the floor, sorry, arms overhead, pausing in your mountain. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead, both legs extend up. Exhale, knees draw in, hands to the outside of the thighs, opening up into your happy baby. Right leg stays drawn in, left arm inhales overhead as the left leg extends to the ceiling. The pit of the belly gathers with your exhale, so you can safely lower that left leg with control, floating it to the earth, coming into stillness in this pose. Making with active awareness, aware of extending into the heel of the left foot and the fingertips of the left arm without efforting into the shoulder. With your exhale, the belly gathers, that right knee draws in, the right arm, or the both arms float. Inhaling, the legs up to the ceiling, arms overhead. Exhale, arms float to either side of the hips, knees bend, feet float to the floor. Setting yourself up, rooting down so you can inhale and lift the hips and roll into your expression of bridge, pausing there or not when you're ready. Using the exhale to slowly lower down, coming back down to the earth. Inhale, legs up to sky, arms overhead. Exhale, knees in, hands to thighs. Inhaling, happy baby. Exhaling, feet float to the earth. Release the bind. Inhale the legs to extend out onto the floor, arms floating overhead. Maybe pausing in your mountain to scan your body and soften where you can. And exhaling, floating the hands to the heart center. Connecting with the breath. Evening out the inhales and the exhales to be the same length. Inviting the breath to move just a little deeper. Allowing the body to expand, to the muscles to release, to soften. Breath to move a little deeper. And where do you feel those inhales echo in your body? Becoming aware of the pause between the breaths. Especially the pause between the exhale and the next breath in. And using that pause to soften just a little more. Aware of how you're being in the stillness. As we acknowledge and honor the thoughts, with the intent to move just a little deeper, we let those thoughts go and connect with the mind body, the breath, and the wise heart. With your exhale, bending one knee and then the other to rest on the earth, using your arm as a pillow, rolling over onto one side or the other. Pausing here, maybe drawing the knees a little closer if you have space so that the thighs come a little closer to the belly. Noticing the lower back, the breath as it extends through the entire back body. The shoulders stacked on top of each other, hips stacked, knees stacked. Pausing here to breathe into the wings of the heart. Maybe you're aware of the ribs closest to the earth, coming even closer to the earth with the inhale. Maybe not, accepting wherever you are today. As you bring awareness to the ribs closest to the earth and the ribs closest to the sky. Expanding in both directions, allowing the breath to fill the lungs completely. As you breathe into the heart space, the wings of the heart. With your exhale, gather the belly, use the palms on the earth to press up and over onto hands and knees, taking the time to pad your knees, moving slowly and mindfully. Nice. And once you set yourself up in your expression of tabletop, it could be that you're on your forearms today. Honoring your wrists, bringing a little weight into the pads of the fingers. If you have extended arms, bringing weight into the wrist creases. If you have the lower arms on the earth, maybe interlacing the fingers, tucking the bottom pinky in, lots of different ways to honor your body and still come into your expression of tabletop. And then pausing here to root to the earth, to engage the belly, to support the lower back. And then exhaling, tipping the tailbone towards the earth to open through the lower back. And then inhale, tailbone to ceiling, allowing the belly to soften to the floor. Being mindful of the foundation so that you're not hanging on the shoulders as you explore pelvic tilts. And then when you're ready, moving into cat and cow. Lifting the gaze if that feels good, honoring the back of your neck on that inhale. And with the exhale, as you tuck the tailbone, move up the back body. Finally, the top of the head, the crown of the head maybe comes towards the earth. Your body, your breath, exploring your natural range of motion without adding any effort, without adding compression to the front body or congestion to protect those the front of the vertebral bodies, right? You don't want to bring in the idea of fractures, right? Maybe you're pausing with the inhale or the exhale to get some movement in the back body through the hips, keeping the body safe, moving slowly, exploring the back body. Take 2 more rounds. And then coming into stillness, letting the big toes touch and the knees to walk wide, allowing the hips to reach back in the direction of the heels. Soften there. Inhale, lengthen the sternum away from the belly, and then softly lower down, bow to the earth, allowing the forehead, the third eye to make contact with something. So maybe the elbows bend and you use a block under the forehead, the arms resting on the earth or extended in an active child pose, your choice, your body. Palms resting on the earth, pads of the fingers, cupping the hands, lifting the armpits, exploring child's pose. What feels good for you? Where would you like to rest in the stillness? Becoming aware of the breath, allowing it to move into or onto the back body. Side body, using the exhales to soften. Your next exhale, gather the belly. Inhale to walk the hands back under the shoulders, to bring the knees back under the hips. Wag your tail side to side as you contract and draw the hips to the shoulders. Right hip to right shoulder, left hip to left shoulder, pivoting at the center of the back. Nice. Pause there. And then decide, maybe you need to walk your hands forward one handprint to take some pressure out of the wrist creases. Then you root to the earth, pads of the fingers, joints at the base of the fingers, space between the pointer finger and the thumb. Arms are active without locking out the elbows. Shoulder blades slide away from the ears. And then, how does this feel? Maybe today you're coming down to forearms, like we did before, interlacing the fingers, tucking that pinky that rests on the earth in. And then rooting down. Aware of the muscles around the shoulder girdle, active to keep you safe. With your exhale, the belly gathers. With your inhale, the right leg extends, curling the toes under and reaching into the heel. Drawing that left hip crease back. Both hips face the earth. Keep that alignment, that awareness. As you inhale, maybe lift through that right leg. Extending into the right heel. Maybe you have some space next time you inhale. Maybe the leg can lift a little higher, maybe not. Notice what you notice. Soften the back of the neck. If you're up on palms of the hands, maybe you want to experiment with inhaling that left arm alongside your ear. Soften the arm and shoulder socket, open the throat. Lengthen, keep that length of the heart reaching away from the belly, long spine. Exhale, float it down. Let that side go. Find the foundation for tabletop again, your tabletop. With your inhale, the left leg extends, the toes curl under, we reach into the heel. What sensations do you feel? Just noticing. With your next exhale, the right hip crease reaches back, keeping length in the right side body. Keep that long spine as you inhale, the left leg lifts towards the ceiling, straight off the hip. Exploring this side. Maybe with your next inhale, you can reach, extend that heel out of the hip socket, leg lengthening, and then maybe you find space to lift it a little higher without lifting that hip. Maybe you experiment with the right arm extending alongside your ear. Everything else stays right where it is. Honor your body. We're not rigid. There's subtle movement as the body's constantly adjusting to gravity. When you're ready, exhaling, the arm and the knee float down. Inhale to stand on your knees. Roll over those shoulders, big circles. Grateful for the chance to move our bodies, to connect with the breath, to let go of efforting. Inhale, shoulders to ears. Exhale, soften. Inhaling, strong body, strong mind. Take a shoulder loop to the ears, draw them together, soften them down the back. Adjust your knees so they're under the hips, maybe a little bit wider. Does this feel okay? Do you need maybe a blanket under the ankles, the shins, to honor the tops of your feet? Roll blanket. Let the hands float to the hips. Maybe the lower back, palms of the hands or knuckles, fists, soft fists. The hips stay right here in alignment with the knees. The belly, the pit of the belly gathers in and lifts you up, but the back ribs also move up, not just the front, so the front ribs don't jut out. So soften there. Inhale, front and back of the ribs lift. Same time. If you don't get it, let it go, right? No efforting, just connecting with something different in the body. Keeping that length, inhaling through the crown of the head, soft shoulders. Knowing that a back bend comes from the upper body. Keeping the gentle curve in the lower back of your hands or on the top of the hips. You'll notice if the tailbone starts to dip or lift. Inhale, lifting through the heart space, drawing the shoulders a little back. You're in a back bend already. Soften the chin to the notch in the collarbone. Inhale, lift the heart to where the wall meets the ceiling. Open the heart towards the ceiling. Soften the back of the neck. Coming into your expression of back bend, not because you're pressing the hips forward, but because you're becoming aware of the ribs that can fan open in the upper body, shoulders underneath the heart supporting, not up by the ears. And you're breathing here into this opening of the heart space. Backing out of anything that doesn't feel good, no compression in the lower back. With your next exhale, hug it in, inhale up to neutral. Exhale, hinge forward at the hip creases. Find cat and neutral spine, not cow, because we just did that back bend. Exhale, the pit of the belly supports the back to let go of any tightness from that back bend. Wag your tail, take hip circles. What do you need to do if you feel sensation from that back bend? Nice. And then coming to stillness there. Inhaling the right leg, extends, toes curl under, cross it and back of the left. And gaze over that left shoulder. Trying not to drop the right hip too much, but rather reaching it back as you extend into those toes and breathing into the right side body. No efforting in the lower back. And the hips. Inhale, that leg comes back to center, the knee comes back down to the earth. So keeping that foundation so we're not hanging on the shoulders, no matter where you are, forearms or arms extended. Inhaling, that left arm comes straight back, left leg comes straight back, Crossing the leg, back of the right, coming to the tops of the toes, the toenails resting on the earth, and then reaching through those toes. And then gazing over that right shoulder, any amount or not. How's your neck? Each side is a little different, and we just notice that and become curious about it. Breathing into the left side body. Inhale that knee back and gaze forward, and then floating into child's pose. Again, your choice. Maybe you like to take your knees together and fold or round over the thighs, keeping the length through the front and back body. And allowing the third eye, the forehead, to rest on something. Giving the message to the brain that you're safe, secure, and supported. And you can tap into that parasympathetic nervous system, peaceful side of the nervous system. Deep breath in, releasing, softening breath out, scanning your body with the inhale, noticing where you're gripping and holding. And using the exhales to let go. Backing out of anything that doesn't feel good. Inhaling, coming back up onto all fours, and then lowering down to your belly. Pausing here in Sphinx pose, shoulders, elbows under shoulders. Forearms out in front of you, parallel, fingers are spread wide. Root into those forearms, and already you'll feel a lift through the front body. Root into the tops of the feet. So you'll maybe become aware of the knees lifting, the pubic bone rooting to the earth. Pausing here, letting go of any over-efforting, finding easeful way to be in this Sphinx pose. With your next inhale, maybe you'll explore reaching, extending the sternum away from the belly. How does that feel in the lower back? Soften the back of the neck, rooting to the earth. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, softening. With your next exhale, floating back down to the earth. Nice. Stacking one palm on top of the other to find your crocodile. Elbows walk away from each other, shoulder blades soften down the back. If this doesn't feel comfortable for you, find a way to be comfortable. Maybe it feels better for you to turn your head to one side or the other. Release the legs. Allow the heels to float away from each other, not because you're pushing them, but because you're allowing gravity to act on those heavy muscles on the outside of the leg. And they draw a little closer to the earth. And that echoes all the way up into your hips. And brings you more softness in the lower back. That's teeny joint of the sacrum resting in the pelvis gets to release. Maybe wagging your hips or rolling side to side a little. Maybe bending your knees and floating the lower legs side to side, finding windshield wiper. What would feel good for you right now? And then floating the legs back to the earth if you've lifted them. Turning onto your right cheek and sliding that left knee out to the side off the hip. Find a comfortable way to be here. If you have a blanket or a pillow nearby, maybe you need to put it underneath your chest, your belly, your ribs without compromising the breath. Maybe the arms come out into cactus and you breathe here. A passive way to open up the inner groin muscles, to soften through the hips. Your next exhale, float that leg straight in back of you. Turn your head to the opposite cheek and allow the right knee to float straight out off of the hip. Find an easeful way to rest here. Honoring your body. Maybe that means you bring a little weight off the right side of your chest. Maybe you need to move soft tissue out of the way. Your body, your practice, we can't see you. So finding a way to bring some peace into the pose. Nice. And extending that, what leg was it? Right leg straight in back of you. Nice. And bringing your forehead or chin to the mat. Taking your hands out to the side. Lifting the elbows towards the ceiling. Activating or reaching into the toes and then pressing them to the earth to activate the legs. Pause here, slide the shoulder blades away from the ears and to the center of the back, and root into the palms of the hands or the pads of the fingers. And you feel the back body active, the upper back. You feel or become aware of the legs actively rooting you to the earth. And maybe with your next inhale, you extend the heart away from the belly, lift the head off the earth. Exploring this back bend, this cobra, gentle, exhale, soften down. Your choice to keep it or change it. Maybe the arms extend alongside the hips, palms down. And you can use that as a foundation. Pressing into the tops of the feet and the palms of the hands. Drawing the shoulder blades together. And again, inhale, lengthening the sternum away from the belly. Smaller back bend, more work. Exhale, soften down. Maybe this time you stay exactly where you are, where you have been practicing. Maybe it's in your practice to explore a little deeper. Maybe with your inhale, you reach through the fingertips and they lift off the earth. And then exhale there, soften, root into the tops of the feet. Inhale, lengthen the heart away from the collarbone. You're not lifting the chin away from the notch in the collarbone, long back of the neck. When you're ready, exhale, lower down. Find a comfortable, easeful way to come into crocodile, stacking your hands, turning your head to one side, to one cheek. Exhaling it all the way, moving it around. I encourage you to rock the hips or bend the knees and float the legs side to side. Exploring a way to let go of any efforting, any negative sensation you might feel. Maybe you went too far, and you'll save that, you'll store that information for next time. And when you're ready, exhaling, walking the palms underneath the shoulders so that you can press yourself up into child pose, tabletop, whatever it is that you need, moving in and out of child pose and tabletop, perhaps exhaling, reaching the hip creases back, inhaling up. The core moves you, so you're not efforting into the arms. The arms rest in their sockets. Just a suggestion, what would work for you? Offering you a variation of downward facing dog. So first variation is walking your hands forward, 2 handprints, rooting into the palms of the hand, the fingertips, the joints at the base of the hand. Arms are resting in their sockets, soften the tops of the shoulders. With your exhale, reach the hip creases back. They're still over the hips, but you feel a little extension through the back body and a lengthening under the armpits and along the side. The head floats in the direction of in between the arms. Pausing here, adjusting, walking the knees back, the hands forward or closer to, further away or closer to you, exploring this variation of downward dog. Curling the toes under, pausing here. Maybe you like this opening through the bottoms of the feet. Exhaling, you can explore deeper by drawing the hip creases back. Nothing really moves, but as the muscles in the core engage, the belly allows the back body to extend a little more, perhaps. Find the breath. Inhale, come back up to tabletop. Maybe stand on your knees, roll through the shoulders, roll out the wrists. Nice. Shake it out, let it go. Allow yourself to come back down to tabletop. Walk the hands forward, 1 handprint, curl the toes under. What we think of as traditional downward dog, or walking your hands forward, 1 more handprint and taking the dog we just did, and then we'll do 1 more after that. So, hands 1 hand put forward or 2. Exhale, as you press the top of the mat away, the hips reach back towards the heels and we pause there. The arms are floating in the shoulder sockets. The head is now in between the arms or thereabouts, right? Exhale, the pit of the belly gathers. We press into the top of the mat so that we can inhale, hips up and back, keeping the knees bent. maybe walking out your dog. Maybe this doesn't work for you and you're bringing the knees down and staying with that first variation of puppy dog. Nice. Exploring downward facing dog. And when you're ready, exhaling, knees come back down to the earth. Coming up over the knees, rolling through the shoulders, shaking out the hands, the wrists, flexing the fingers. What do you need to do? Coming into child pose, coming into puppy dog, maybe taking downward facing dog again. Maybe this is too much, downward facing dog is too much for your shoulders, but you can do more than puppy dog. Maybe you want to explore. Bringing the forearms to the earth, interlacing the fingers, tucking that bottom pinky in. Gazing to the floor. Walk the knees back, exhale. Reach the hip creases up and back. Root into those forearms, part of the foundation. Curl the toes under. Maybe you'll pause here. Exhale, gather the belly. Maybe inhaling, straightening through the legs, reaching into those, rooting into the forearms, reaching the hips up, walking out your dog, exploring downward facing dog on your forearms. Is this better for your shoulders or no? Where do you need to be? When you're ready, exhaling, soften those knees down. Find a child pose that works for you for a few rounds of breath. Let those shoulders drape towards the earth. Allow the breath to fill the back body. Notice what you notice without judgment. What are the sensations that you're aware of? Can you use that information in the future? Right now, can you soften with the exhales? With your next exhale, walk yourself to sit up onto the heels if that suits you. Let the hips come to one side and the legs extend out in front of you. Shake it out, let it go. And come back down to lie onto the earth. Maybe you're coming through boat pose, but you're moving slowly, mindfully with the breath to set yourself up, to lower down, or rolling to one side, coming on to the back body. Legs extended to start. That doesn't feel good, bend the knees, right? I only offer suggestions. Using the exhales to land on the floor. Inhale there, exhale, one knee and then the other draws in for a hug. Soften, pause, maybe get some movement slowly, mindfully, side to side. What do you feel? What do you notice? This can be a massage for the hips and the muscles that run alongside the back body, the spine, either side of the spine. The shoulders soften, the jaw releases. Releasing, allowing the hands to float to the earth, the feet to the floor. Walk the feet the width of the mat, nice and wide. Taking our reclined windshield wiper with your exhale, both knees float to one side. Inhale up to center, exhaling to the other. Exploring a gentle reclined twist. Allowing the hips to roll, not forcing the legs to the earth, but just allowing gravity to act on them as they rotate in the hip sockets in your natural range of motion. One side might be different than the other. What do you notice? Can you exhale over to one side and pause there? Resting in the stillness, let go of any efforting. And see if you can become aware of that lengthening of from hip to armpit and the breath moving into that space of the top knee, the top side body. And then when you're ready, inhaling up to center and exhaling over to the opposite side. Softening there. And then allowing the breath to move into that side. Backing out of anything that doesn't feel good, adjusting for your body. Inhaling back up to center, exhaling, another hug, another rock and roll. Circling the hips, rocking side to side. What feels good for you? Coming into legs up the wall or not. What would suit you? Maybe you want to take a hip opener instead of legs up in the wall. So maybe you start with knees bent, feet on the earth. If you're taking legs up the wall, you're pressing into the feet, maybe tucking a pillow or a blanket or a block under the pelvis, not the lower back. Pausing here in your supported bridge. Exhaling one knee and then the other floats over the hips, and then maybe the legs extend to the ceiling with bent knees. If a hip opener, another hip opener would suit you, the feet stay on the earth and you flex the right foot and cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Resting in the stillness or getting movement, rocking the knees to the left. Your practice, what would complete it? Resting in stillness or moving in a pose. A hip opener. When you're ready, switching to the other side, if you're taking the hip opener so that the left foot flexes and both knees rock to the right or not. Exploring legs up the wall or a final hip awareness. Wherever you are, you're pausing and allowing both feet to float to the earth with bent knees. And extending both legs to slide out in front of you. Maybe inhaling the arms up overhead or in that direction. One more time. And exhaling, floating the arms to a comfortable position alongside the body, away from the hips. If palms are face down, become aware of the shoulders resting on the earth. Allow them to slide together and rotate the arms in the shoulder sockets so the palms face up. Soften there. Maybe with your exhale, the chin tucks towards the notch in the collarbone. Flex the feet, reach into the heels. Curl the toes in. With your next exhale, let everything go. Legs rest heavy into the earth. Aware of the breath. Aware of the rise and fall of the upper chest. Aware of the body accepting the breath. How does this feel for you? Do you need to bend the knees and place the feet flat on the floor for the back body to feel more peaceful? As we come to rest into Shavasana, do you need to cover up or prop anything? Blankets, pillows under knees or back of the head? And then choosing stillness here. Using the breath to guide the body into stillness. The exhales to settle you. The space between the eyes softens. The forehead melts towards the earth. The eyes rest heavy into the back of the head, and all the muscles surrounding the eyes soften and release. All the muscles in the jaw soften. The tongue releases from the roof of the mouth and the lips softly meet. And all the muscles in the face melt towards the earth. Following the breath from beginning to end. Using the breath to guide you into your final restorative pose of Shavasana. Breathing into the heart space. Gentle, soft breath, letting go of all control. It's your natural rhythm. Acknowledging the thoughts as they tug at you, and then honoring them and allowing them to float away. Using the breath to guide you back into this body resting on the earth in this moment. Breathing in and breathing out. As you breathe in, bringing awareness to breathing in. As you breathe out, bringing awareness to breathing out. The breath that allows us to do one thing at a time. The breath that teaches us that we can do only one thing at a time. Breathing into this moment, in this body, resting peacefully on the earth. And I'll be here to guide you out. Slowly becoming aware of the earth beneath you. Becoming aware of the space surrounding you. Gently deepening your inhales and exhales. When you're ready, slowly bringing your body back from stillness with small, gentle movements, softly rubbing your thumb against your fingertips, wiggling your toes, maybe slowly turning your head from side to side. And with a deep awakening inhale, maybe exploring the arms rising overhead one more time. And with your exhale, floating the palms together, bringing them to rest over the heart center. Exhaling, floating the arms to a comfortable position as you step one knee and then the other to place the feet softly onto the earth. Pausing here, using the breath to scan your body. Just noticing what your practice has given to you today. And how will you take your practice off your mat and into your life? Using your arm as a pillow, rolling over to one side or the other. Aware of the breath, filling the heart space. Using your hands to press into the earth, keeping the eyes softly closed if that suits you. Press the earth away and walk yourself up to a comfortable, easy way to sit. And with your inhale, maybe extending through the arms one more time. And with your exhale, floating the palms together and resting them at the heart center. Meeting our lives the way our palms meet, with gentle awareness. Checking in with the wise heart, allowing it to guide you. And we lift our hearts and we bow our heads to honor that perfect light that shines in all of us, uniting us. Thank you for sharing your practice. We have that intention that our practice be continuous, that we bring our yoga into each and every breath, that our hearts be steady, that our practice be of benefit to all beings. May all beings be safe. May they be healthy. May all beings be happy. May they find their freedom. May they know peace. May all beings walk through the world with ease. Namaste. Thank you. Let's